So, welcome to the Phil Swallow podcast. This is episode number 173, and I'm recording it on Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024. I think I got all that right. Welcome to the show. It's currently live on YouTube. There'll be a replay that goes up automatically, and there'll also be an audio version should you prefer to consume podcasts in that way. But feel free to look at both if you want to see the face. But I can understand why you may not want to. Now, there has been quite some time. Oh, you had a notification a couple of minutes before. Yeah, I think that's often the way. So just to explain the audio people, notifications seem to go out a bit randomly to say that I'm going to be going live. So it doesn't give you much time. I've looked at different ways on how this could be shared such that people would jump on it. But I mean, we all have things in our diaries anyway, so it's not always straightforward that you can pick one method and therefore put it in that way. But it's on my channel somewhere in the podcast section, so you can always find it on there. So, yes, I couldn't believe you did get a notification earlier, but you're late doing tech support at the moment. Okay. Well, hopefully you will still be able to do that, and thanks for joining, mate. So, yes, really weird. There was just a whole sequence of things that happened in Swallow household, Swallow family life that got in the way. So the last show I did was about the 20th of May, and we had some hospital situations. Sue went in for an op. Sue's mum went in unplanned. That may have been before the last one. She was in for a few days, and my mum had to go into hospital. There's a show called 24 Hours in A&E, and my mum was basically 24 hours in A&E. I know that's not about one person going in for 24 hours, but anyway, she went in, thankfully. She hated it, and with some encouragement and some test results coming back that were satisfactory, she was told she could go back home. So all of those things are part of life, and they take the toll, but I don't want to say that in a bad way. I think you'll understand. We get called upon to do such things sometimes. It's really just been a big combination. I've still obviously do what I do in terms of the history work. I've got involved a bit more with the Born Society. I'm on their council, which I think I mentioned before. I suppose you'd see it as a committee, people that do the stuff behind the scenes. And I've been involved in a couple of specific actions for them, so that's taken a bit of time. But I see that as a really valuable spend of time, because the Born Society are a brilliant organisation, been going since 1956. And if you're not following them on Facebook, I recommend it. They do some great publications. And I was asked if I would be happy to join, and I said yes, and so that's just been part of it. But it all links in. It links into my desire to understand more about local history, and there's some great people there, and we get on really well, and good banter and all that. So it's just it all kind of connects really well. I did a talk in, I suppose, do you choose your favourite talk like you might choose a favourite child? But a talk that I enjoy doing is the Hamsey Green Airfield and Gardner family. And often when I outline a few talks that I do and let people choose, they quite like the sound of that one, particularly the local people. And you can guarantee someone will always say, I didn't know there was an airfield at Hamsey Green. But it's not just about them. The family were quite sort of famous in their own way. And I did that talk it was Caterham Library in Stafford Road, and it was for the Caterham Local History Centre AGM. I was the guest speaker, and that was great fun, really good crowd, great set of questions afterwards. You never quite know what you're going to get with the questions, and often they find their way into sort of updates on the slides for the next time round. I don't think I've yet given the same talk with the same set of slides without making some sort of changes. So if you happen to see one of my talks and you think, I've seen that one, I guarantee it'll be different next time you see it. Some things work, some things don't. You just kind of, what's the word? Is it in business terms, continuous improvement? Which I hope it is. I just realised Right, I've got to apologise. I've just started this late. The audio version, I might be able to do something fancy with the audio. I normally record it on a higher quality recording, but this is Phil Swallow podcast. You see, I've not done it for a while. Episode 173, and yes, the audio might be a bit iffy this time round, but I'll do my best. The other thing which I didn't put in my little notes, the background's different because I'm in a different room in the house. So I was in a corner, kind of little soundproof booth that we use for recording. I started using that way back when it was kind of my room, and I used it for podcasts, and it's actually been used for voiceovers as well. I probably mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. So the advert that Sue's on TV with Ian Botham and her friend Juliet for Revitive, one of the lines on that was recorded in my little booth in the old room. Anyway, moving on from that. So I moved into this room a year ago in August, and I've been kind of racking it out with various things, putting all my gear in. I've got way too much gear. And I just thought, if there's a way I can run the show in here, it's actually better. I think it's a better, cleaner visual. The shiny things over there, they're just stands, light stands, C stands, that kind of thing. And I've tried to keep it minimalist. There's a Crystal Palace thing above my head on the wall which says South London and proud, but it's a bit cut off. And hang on, other arm. All right, there. This looks great on audio, by the way. Lanyards from various different events and shows that I've been to. There you go. That's the tour of the room as much as you're going to see. And yeah, so I do all of my editing in here, photo editing, video editing. It's a good space. I look out onto the street outside and it's really nice bit of natural light, although I've got other lights here for the show. And I just thought, well, let's try it and run it in here. So I've kind of recreated certain things. There might be some software tweaks I need to do. Obviously, I did mess up the audio already. But yes, I just moved in here and I've done a bit of sound deadening. I've got a ceiling fan on, which hopefully won't be you're going to listen for it now, but hopefully it won't be too bad. And yes, so this is new space and this is where it'll be from now on. So this is one of the other things I've done because as well as moving into this room, I'd had to run some tests. I didn't put them live, but I had to run some tests just to get it all going and make sure it was fine. So yes, back to talks. So the other talk I did was, well, it was the same talk. It was my favourite. It was the gardener talk. And I did that at Croydon Central Library, which was nice. That was a couple of Saturdays ago. Full house. And we had some interesting fun and games with their audio equipment because you kind of use a wireless mic there. But they had some issues. But anyway, we got there and the feedback was very good. The cups of tea and everything that they give you afterwards, apparently there was a nice lot of chatter afterwards. So that was really nice. And there were a couple of people from Hamsey Green there who didn't have any knowledge until I filled them in on the story. So that was really nice. I'm giving the same talk again Wednesday week, 31st of July, 2 p.m, All Saints Church Hall, Sanderstead. Be there or be square. That's the Sanderstead Local History Group. You pay £1 or something on the door. There's no kind of membership per se, £1 or £2. And you get tea and biscuits there as well. And I'll do my talk. So the other thing that doesn't change is video work. So trying to track back where I've been. So I did a Caterham video, the first one of the Caterham videos, which is where I did a walk along Croydon Road from the old hospital site. So I got a bit of my dinner. Sorry, that's terrible. But it's me. So yes, walks along from the Caterham Hospital site, which is Valley Court now, which is where Sue's mum lives, down to the main, it's called the Square, but it's where the kind of roundabout is in Caterham Valley. And I've prepped and got all of my scripts and maps and stuff like that ready to do the next leg. It's just really time in the diary to go out and do it, but I'm prepared. The only thing I've got to do, and I don't know, maybe there's some suggestions from you guys. I want to do my July country walk. I've got to do it soon. We're kind of past mid-month now. They don't normally take too long to film and edit and release, but I did commit last summer to doing one per month, and I've done that. So I don't want to mess up now at the final hurdle, so I want to do July's. Don't know if there's much of a history beyond that, because I've got just general videos that I want to do, the walk and talks, which go down quite well. Caterham video went down really well. A lot of people have an interest there. I had a brilliant book on the history of Caterham shops, so I referred to that, but I recommend that people buy the book. And the prep for the second one, which is the square, the roundabout, and I'm going to go to Timber Hill, Godstone Road, Station Avenue, I think it's called, and probably down Hairstone Valley Road a bit, and a bit of Stafford Road, just to point out all the bits. If you see the centre of Caterham as a kind of hub of a wheel, and these are kind of some of the spokes that I'm going to go off, having already done Croydon Road. And then I'm going to do a separate video on the history of Hewitt's greengrocers, because I know the Hewitt family well. Sue used to work in the greengrocers. They've been closed for some time now. But I was fortunate to sit down with Michael Hewitt, and he's given me loads of information going back years. So I'll be able to tell a nice story of the history of that store, nice bit of social history and local history. So there's work still going on. It's just I've not been kind of sharing it with you guys in this particular medium. So I've got to get out and do that. So yes, the country walks thing. I don't know. I may do a kind of highlights video of that at some point. I suppose that's a bit of a cop out, but it may happen. But I think I'm going to get to the stage where I don't know where to go next. Now, part of me feels I should do a countryside walk in Caterham, so Tilling Down, that kind of area. So I'll see about that, see if I can work out a loop. That's on my list for tomorrow morning to work that out, so I must do that and get out and film it probably one afternoon or evening this week, catch the nice golden hour of light. Yeah, Euro 2024, like I said, that kind of got in the way that's my excuse for recording these on a regular basis. Obviously England did pretty well, although let's be honest, the style of play wasn't great. It was in bits and pieces. Mickey Droyboy, hello. Hi guy. So Euro 2024, lost to the better team in the final. I think it did kind of get the nation together, I think. But my view, just to divert very quickly to football, my view is that we always seem to put the stars out and just hope that it works. And I think we should have a system, and you can plug players in, whether they're young, experienced or whatever, but they all know the system, and it's easy to get players to come in and out of that kind of thing. I think that told for us in the end. Spain had a system, and it was a great system, and they lifted the trophy, so we lost out there. But overall a pretty good record in terms of final appearances. First final we've appeared in abroad, I think. So there's hope for the future. We've got some great young talent, and the Crystal Palace boys as well. Really pleased about that. 4 players involved in the squad, so that's going to be good for them. And also we had 2 guys that made the final in the Copa America, so that was Jefferson Lerma and Daniel Munoz. Unfortunately, Daniel got sent off, so in the semi-final, he missed the final, and they lost to Argentina in the final. So 2 defeats, but overall 6 Crystal Palace players getting into finals of 2 very big continental competitions. So, and hopefully they're not too tired because the season starts in less than a month. So that was good. So a couple of other domestic things that have happened, and I'm going to share them with you because there's a couple of not tales of woe, but just challenges that you get in life sometimes. So I'm in the middle of car exchange at the moment. I picked up the new car on Friday. It is a Volkswagen ID.5 full electric, and it's really good. It was registered in December 2023, so it's used, but it never left the VW dealership, and it had 102 miles on the clock, which I'm happy with. So pick that up. That's all fine. And I spoke to my insurance company saying, look, I'm responsible for the old car, the Volvo, until it goes back. But I got to pick up the new car now because they want it off the forecourt. Can you just give me sort of dual cover, multi-car cover for, say, 3 weeks or so till they inspect and collect the old car? No, we don't do that. This is Swinton. So you can go to tempcover.com and they can issue you a short-term policy. I thought, sounds reasonable. tempcover.com, put in my details, can I have cover for a car, second car for 3 weeks? £276, sir. I didn't go with temp cover. So what I've ended up doing is going to Money Supermarket, one of those places who were cheaper than the Meerkat thing. And I got a good deal on insurance policy for my new car, and basically I'm going to lapse off the other one when they come and collect it. But it was a complete nonsense. I thought, hey, I'm only ever going to drive one car. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to actually be double the risk because I can only be in one car at a time. And even though we had a conversation, it didn't seem to wash the fact that I'm going to be focused on the new car, the new toy, and let the other one just sit on the drive. But obviously it needs to be protected anyway from theft and all that sort of stuff. So a bit of a nonsense. And now I'm just keen to get the Volvo people to come out and do the inspection and take it away. Oh, that was the other thing. Took it in for its third and final service, which I'd prepaid, thankfully. That was really good. Got a good deal when I got the car. MOT, that was what, £54 something. And they said, we've got a recommendation for having the air conditioning done, £333. I didn't heed their recommendation. I think they actually replaced a component part of it a year ago, but they probably forgot that. So no, that wasn't happening. So yes, a few car woes and an insurance debacle. And the other thing that's happened in the family and the household, we're in day one of a new boiler being fitted. So the guy started today, and he's a great guy. He got highly recommended. He did another piece of work for us a few weeks back. But there's obviously a bit of dust, and it's not just the fact that the boiler's being replaced. We're moving it into the kitchen rather than the utility room, better for flue placement and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know too much about this, but he explained it, and it was all made perfect sense. So so we've ended up with this gap on the wall where he's taken down the old one, big hole in the other wall which is covered up overnight, and so we didn't quite know where to go on holiday this year. It's probably New Boiler Land. No, I'm hoping we do get away at some point because we had a really nice holiday in Japan last year, and we want to back it up with something this year before we lose out. But already we're in 22nd of July, so realistically probably looking at September time. I've been a bit put off though by some of these protesting events in Barcelona and also the Balearic Islands over the weekend, where they're saying that whilst tourism may be good for businesses, the money doesn't trickle down to the kind of the population. I thought we paid tourist taxes sometimes when we went abroad, but yeah, I don't know. Does that mean that I've not been abroad? I know Julie, you've been abroad a few times recently and to that area. I don't know if are tourists being made to feel unwelcome, or I don't know. It's a bit odd, really. So that's something that we may have to encounter. Although I quite like Scandinavia, so we may go over to Denmark. Got a friend in Copenhagen, so we may try and get over there at some point. Sue and I don't like the strong heat and stuff. I'd rather just go out and explore and tour and all those good things. So, and I did also, sorry, I'm going back a bit to one of the videos that I did it was my country walk for June, and it was over in Chelsham at Holtwood and Henleywood. And I have to say, you may not have seen it, hopefully you have. And I edit these down. Obviously, the actual footage that I take might be, I don't know, hour and 20 minutes for maybe a bit more, a bit less for a 2-hour walk. And I edited it down. I got that one down to about half an hour or something. And I could not believe the growth of weeds in the fields. Now, possibly made worse if the footpaths that I choose to use, all the public footpaths, are not well trodden, because people aren't brushing past and actually treading a path on the ground. But it was incredible. There was the stinging nettles, the bracken, I can't remember, I don't know all the proper names of some of these things. But they were 8 foot high, 9 foot high sometimes. And I mean, we've got to expect it from the fact that we had this extremely cold extremely wet first half of the year, really. And then obviously we've come on and had this warmer weather in bits and pieces, fits and starts. But it's just incredible. I plan to do a walk up to Hutchinson's Bank. Someone got in touch with me, passed a comment on one of the videos about that, because they used to do some volunteering work up there, and that's not far. That's just up at Featherbed Lane. It's one of these. I think it's a site of special scientific interest or ancient something. I don't know. I haven't got it in front of me. I apologise. But it's meant to be very picturesque. Lots of different species of butterfly, lots of different wildflowers and plants, and they get sheep up there occasionally. I'm not sure if they're all there all the time. But I touched on that in the first walk that I did, that was one of these country walks. It was like a winter one that I did January the year before last. So again, that may be a revisit, just seeing these things in different seasons. So yeah, so I think I've taken some really good suggestions and inspiration almost from some of the comments I have. I love getting the comments on the videos. It really is good. It means that people have got some value from them, a nostalgia trip perhaps, and also it helps me to kind of pinpoint things that I didn't know existed. I don't know these areas in depth. I found that being someone from the area, I've driven up and down the main roads like many of us have for many years, but never actually stopped, got out of the car, got my backpack on and gone for a walk. And I choose to take a camera with me. That's why I put these little videos out, and hopefully there's some value in that. But it's great. It's a great learning. It's good kind of fitness. It's good fresh air and the overall experience. And I hope that some of that comes across in what I do. But yeah, it's the areas immediately close by are. See, I like to do walks over towards the White Bear, Fickles Hole, that kind of area. But almost all the paths are road related, and some of those lanes are a bit iffy, even if I'm wearing a high-vis jacket. So the beauty of some of the walks over at Chelsham, the back of Wallingham, when I went down to Woldingham, the Water Tower, the Titsy Estate, all that kind of thing, they were great because they're all kind of public footpaths out in the middle of a field, boundaries of fields, that kind of thing. And there's just loads to see and loads to enjoy. Carol, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy my videos. One of the other things that I did, and again, I don't think I mentioned it on here. I went to a talk back in the winter weather down in Caterham about the Surrey History Centre, who are doing detailed mapping. They want to map the bombs that fell in World War II, but wherever possible tell the story of what happened behind those. So, and some of it's quite heart-wrenching, where there were direct hits on houses and shelters and things like that. And I had someone contact me just to say that they've put themselves forward as volunteer to do some of this collating of information to help the project. And there were a few areas that they didn't recognise, and they sent me this kind of list. And it was great to be involved, and I was able to point out where some of those locations were, but also share some of the sort of data points, the places that I use to get the information. National Library of Scotland being a brilliant one. And if you're ever looking at old maps and you don't want to go too far back, the grid maps that were produced in around about the late 40s, early 50s are excellent. So I've used those to help put together the Caterham videos, because I can reference things that existed in, say, the 1940s, 50s, and there might be some older folk now that see my videos, and I've got quite a few older people that see my videos that can make a reference, and again help to feed this sort of nostalgia trip. In terms of where I go next, I did a Causden Then and Now. This is where I just do it to music. It was just for the length of one track. So I put that live last week, where I've got the access to some of the old old stills, postcard type images, and I try and pick out where those locations are now. It only works if there are reference points that we can see. So a row of shops or a block of buildings, church, that kind of thing, bridge. All of those are good. And so I did a little one for Caulston. I think I can get hold of some for Caterham. So whereas with Caterham, I'm going to start the walk and talks and then go back and do a then and now one or two at some point. I've got to source the images, but I kind of know where I can get those from. Having done the then and now of Caulston, it's got a pretty good history like all of these areas have. So I'm probably going to do a walk and talk in Caulston at some point. And I know there's Caulston and Old Caulston, but probably starting off just in the main sort of shop area, and perhaps get behind some of the stories of those things that I picked out in those images. I really did like, there was one up near where Screwfix is now, and it was the old Regal Cinema. And someone put on the comments that was somewhere they used to go and watch pictures many moons ago. So that was good. And there's a building just to the right of it in the picture that still exists next to the telephone exchange. So, yeah, so there's stories to those. So Caulston's on my list, more of Caterham. Tatsfield, I owe my great friend Graham a little bit of an apology. Sorry, Graham. But hopefully if you've followed this, you'll realise I've been very busy with other stuff. But Tatsfield, we've got some prep underway. I still mean to do a walk on Crowhurst, and maybe I've answered my own question about where I do my country walk for July, because that's got some great views. So yeah, who knows? There are so many, but Crowhurst might feature. So I've been meaning to do that for a while. I was thinking about wrapping that one in with some of the sites at South Croydon, like the old station, Spencer Road Halt, and all that kind of thing, Selsdon Station. So we'll see about that. Caulston, I've said. Caterham. I did Caterham on the Hill, but there may be some other stuff there. Godstone is one of the next ones I plan to do. I've got a walk already prepped that was done about 30 years ago by the Bourne Society. Old Caulston. Okay, Carol, I will look to do Old Caulston. These things, it's almost like I don't really have a formal written plan. But I'm kind of, all these videos started off with where I could get to easily when we had the kind of lockdown and mini lockdowns, where I sort of started, I suppose, cutting my own teeth in these things. And I'm kind of working my way out. So it is closely coupled to the Bourne Society area, which is the kind of Bourne River. But yes, so these are all are joined. You go to one and it joins to another. I've also got some conversations going on about the Wandle River, so there might be some stuff there. And no way am I the first person that's covered these things, but I'm kind of covering them my way, and hopefully then they'll have a bit of a theme to the way I go about these videos. Yeah, Godstone, Tatsfield, Caulston, Old Caulston, Tilling Down might be a country walk. I'm almost going to have a bit of a scratch my head literally about which one of these country walks I do, but I think we're kind of, I won't say spoilt, but we've got a lot of very, very good locations in this area where you can go out, park a car, and then just get on a loop walk. And I mentioned this in the videos, but all of the videos that I've done in this country walk series, I've mapped out on Ordnance Survey Maps app. And I share the link to those so that you can do the walk yourself or any variation thereof. I did sign up with All Trails, which is another one. They did a kind of discount for a year. But I haven't really got into it in depth at the moment. And also, I'll hold this up to the camera. This is something I got for Christmas. So that's Surrey wide, Surrey Hills 40 favourite walks. Some of that, a couple of those are in the area, Reigate and Woldingham. I must admit, I look at them and they say, oh, this one's only 14 kilometres or how many miles. And I don't necessarily want to go that far, particularly in hot weather. I think it was over 5 miles for the Biggin Hill perimeter walk I did in December. Part of that was because I went the wrong way. Well, ish. I did a detour that wasn't a detour. But yes, I'm happy with kind of 3 to 4 miles ish, but 5 plus, we'll have to see. So yes, so lots of plans. November will come round in no time, and I'll be doing the Croydon revisit. That's always interesting. I've done that video since 2020 in November, and for the first time this year, I did it as a walk and talk. I did it with commentary. Normally, I was just doing videos to music and putting a few captions up. I suppose that someone actually said on one of the comments, are you okay and safe carrying the camera and mic around and all that sort of stuff? And yeah, it can be a bit hairy at times there. But yeah, so Croydon will feature. Don't know the exact route. There's probably some areas, again, I may start to go behind the scenes a bit more. Some of the areas that you don't always see but contain quite a lot of history. So I've got a little bit of time to prep that. But by and large, all of the work that I do, I'm never kind of short of something to just jump on. What I like about all of this stuff is that it's a pick up and put downable, if that makes sense. You don't need to kind of start doing something and then know that you're going to lock out half a day to try and finish it. It's something that I can easily pick up and put down, and it is easy to lose an afternoon in doing things. I find certainly with family history. So we had sadly someone in the family passed away quite recently. So I was looking at some of the family history aspects of that person. So my mum's still with us. I phone up my mum and I get answers to questions about family history there, which is brilliant. But yeah, I think that's something that I've got reasonably good understanding of. And actually, guys, if ever you feel that you want a little pointer here and there about local or family history, then give us a shout. I'm happy to chat offline or whatever, just to go through some of the things that I've uncovered. I've got loads of subscriptions to different websites. They're not all like fundable ones or paid for ones. A lot of them are just, you just need to know what the site is and kind of how to get your way around it. But yeah, there's some great ways we can tell stories by looking into these things. So it's really good fun. I get really enthused about all this stuff, and hopefully that comes across. I felt that once I'd packed up work, which was blimey 5 years ago this year, I wanted to go straight into to do creative stuff. Did a lot of photography jobs and the odd video job. But I didn't really go looking for the work, and I still get the odd inquiry. But I feel that this whole dedication to local history, storytelling, keeping the brain cells going by doing the research and learning new kind of skills from that. And some of it has even branched off to doing the artwork. I've done some artwork stuff as well online for some of the things I've been working on. So it's just learning. It's understanding, joining the dots, and it's great fun. So yes, God, I've rambled. No, it feels like I do sometimes. But that's the way I am. So in terms of my mini agenda, I have pretty much covered all I was planning to impart. So I guess an offer to any of you out there on the call while we're live. Is there anything you wanted to raise? Any country walk locations in the area you want to suggest? Anything good, bad or indifferent? What do you think about Joe Biden stepping down yesterday? No, I don't know. Well, that's history going forward, isn't it? I mean, that doesn't happen every day, but it's not local. But it is big. So big news. So I will keep mumbling, and feel free to to tap in the chat if there's anything you'd like to cover or suggest. Old photos. If you've got any old photos of places, send them over.